Hello, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the next episode, episode 7 with Tim today. Really glad that I have Tim today here with me. We're going to learn a lot from him. Thank you so much, Tim, for coming in. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you very much for having me. I hope you're having a great evening.
Yeah, definitely. Talking to you would make me happy. We already did that a couple of days ago. Talked about life, talked about business, talked about everything. I want you to introduce yourself to the audience so they can know who you are, and then we can start rolling into questions.
Yeah. My name is Tim. I'm an entrepreneur. I've founded 5 companies in total. My current venture is called Copernicus Automotive, and we do self-driving technology for cars.
Mhm.
Well, startup is, I mean, we're approaching almost 7 years. I still consider it startup because it's very agile, it's very hectic, it's very
Mhm.
fast-paced. I've been doing that for many, many years now, enjoy it a lot. Apart from that, maybe by the accent
Wow.
you can tell I'm German. And I live in northern Italy in a small village called Bolzano. And father of
Wow.
2, happily married.
Well, God bless the kids for you, man. We watched me the gift that your son gave you before the podcast, and it was really cute. I really like it. It's
Yeah, the little mini me here.
yeah.
That was handcrafted
It's
by my
pretty.
son. It makes me super proud.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love it. God bless him. So business, 7 years. How do you call it a startup if it's been 7 years doing it?
How do I call it?
You said that you called it a startup.
Yeah, so the question is a company or a project that run for 7 years, is that actually still a startup or not? I was just while saying I'm building a startup, is this still a startup? But it still feels like a startup.
Mhm.
So it's still really early in everything.
Wow, because everything is it's fast paced now.
Yeah,
You can.
it is, and it always, obviously, it always depends on what you actually do. But
Mhm.
we are trying to develop a market. We're trying to push the automotive industry forward when it comes to self-driving technology,
Mhm.
while at the same time we're always also trying to help regulators understanding the environment. So having a
Mhm.
regulatory framework ready, while also working with the OEMs, with the existing, the traditional car manufacturers, to understand what this technology brings, and that is specifically our solution. And then on top of that, we actually have to build our solution, which is called the automated valet parking, and that is all of that still feels very early, although we've been at it already for 7 years.
Would you say that because now everything, the chat GPT and all the AIs that are coming up, is that related to what you're doing, or is it far away?
It is, it's a bit of both.
Mhm.
So obviously, I mean, many people have been saying that the future is software, and lots of the stuff we're doing is software. And so the next feature of a car is not going to be like the bigger rims and all of that. That's kind
Mhm.
of becoming more and more obsolete. The next version of a car is better software inside the car. So everything is software. And what we are doing is obviously leveraging all the power of AI, or more specifically machine learning, to actually drive these cars.
Mhm.
And so obviously chat gpt and everything else like that is labeled as AI is in the same area. But then when you do it for cars,
It's
there's
different.
a couple, yeah, it's an application, but it's an application that has to work hand in hand with safety certified hardware. And I mean, it's basically the pods that move us around, that have to ensure our life as the ones being driven, but also everybody around. So it is kind of the same thing, but ChatGPT is fantastic. It's brutal. It's out there. It's fast paced, but it's also,
It's kind of
I
scary.
wouldn't now I wouldn't let a random stranger use it for a medical examination of myself, right? Okay, Tim
Mhm.
has a red nose. What does he have? Like, no, that's kind of that. It's not there. It might be right or not.
You wouldn't have
Yeah,
100% sure
no,
accuracy.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, but the speed in which it is evolving is fantastic. I mean, it's amazing. It's so much fun to see.
Yeah, because you're an AI yourself. Would you say self-driving is like when it comes to cars? Is it going to go electric 100% later on the years? there won't be gas anymore?
So the way we look at it, and the way we try to systemize it, as many players in the automotive industry try to do it, is call it Ks or ACEs. So it's the C stands for connected, A for autonomous, S for shared, and E for electrified. And each area in itself is a battlefield. There are new startups fighting with existing companies in the space and so on. And in order to do something really well, you should focus on one thing. And obviously, we are in autonomous or automated driving. And so technically, it doesn't matter what kind of a drivetrain the car has, if it's an internal combustion engine or an EV. I think it's going to EV. And we're just seeing legislation in the EU basically being finished this week, and the last opposition came from the German government, so that's out now, and latest in 2035 there will be no combustion engines being produced in Europe, and I think everybody else will follow, and other countries have already passed law. So it's going to be EV, but it has technologically, it's on the same path, but technologically it has nothing to do with autonomous driving, or not necessarily linked here.
And there's not linked. Yeah, I think Germany is the first country to abandon gas and then combustion and go with electric cars. I think it's the first country to do that, which is really
it's going to be EU wide, yeah. But you have car manufacturers like Volvo that have already said the next car we're going to build is electric, and we're never ever going to go back again. We're never going to build another ICE car, so internal combustion engine car. So I think that's where we're heading.
That's the future, I think. It's kind of scary believing that with this Tesla coming out with, I drove one myself, and it's kind of weird when the car drives itself. Like the car is, I don't know if it actually drives itself or it's assisting the driver, but it does that, and it's weird because I don't know if it's safe, and it's kind of scary because what if the software drops? What if there's something happening in it? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so there's a classification of level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Level 0 being kind of the car as it was invented at its beginning, and level 5 being the full self-driving car everywhere around the world. And right now, all the driver assist functions that we're having they're considered level 2, and even what Tesla is doing is considered level 2 or level 2 plus. So it is still a driver assist function, and only when we are really at level 4 we have a computer, and then a computer controlling this computer. Right now, there's a computer or the driver assist function, and whenever it says, "Look, I don't know what to make out of this situation," it basically beeps, gives it back to the driver, and that's so that is a good driver assist function, but you always have to pay attention. And yes, it relieves a bit of the stress, but this vision of we sit in a car, which we actually sit more in a couch. We enjoy a movie while we get in the car in Hamburg, and overnight it drives me across the Alps, and I wake up in the morning in Venice, and then have a weekend somewhere in Italy, and on Sunday night it drives me back and drops me off in front of my office on Monday morning. While that is a fantastic vision, it still is a vision.
I understand. It's not in action.
It's not in action yet, but and the thing is, it still is quite a long way, because getting the basics right is not the problem. It's doing the fine tuning and getting it from 95% to 100%. So the so-called edge cases, the stuff that only happens twice in our automotive life. And I just did the math. I've been driving now cars for more than 34 years, and there have been a few instances in my experience as a driver that have happened exclusively only once. I mean, you cannot train a car for rocks sliding in front of your car, or
that would be weird. How long would you say it would take the world to have self-driving cars for like everyone has a self-driving car? 10 years or something?
No.
More?
A lot more big. So two questions. Wow. Like, when will we have when will we have self-driving cars? We'll have fleets in the second half of this decade at some point, but that'll be small numbers, owned and operated by fleets, and more in a kind of a taxi thing in dedicated geographic areas. Then they have to get to a price point where they're affordable for the mass market. And we're still, right now, we're producing more or less 100 million cars every year. These cars on average, 100 million cars a year. And these cars on average, in Europe, they're like 10, 11, 12 years old on average. So they also have to be replaced. And then, and some of the cars that are replaced, actually lots of the cars are being replaced in Europe and go to other continents, predominantly Africa from Germany. And so the average age of let's assume the average age of the car is 15 years. In order to do that, to replace half of it, you would have to have 7.5 years of 100% EV, full self-driving technology. So it's going to take a long time. And now the big question is, will our kids still have to do a driver's license or not? Will they be driven autonomously? And
that's a good question.
That I don't know. It's like my son in here, we can do it. You can do a driver's license with 18 years of age. So it'll be in 11 years. We'll see. We'll see.
It's really interesting, to be honest. AI, self-driving, all that. Yeah. It's massive. It's massive. I don't know. Do they teach that in schools now? Do they help kids know what AI is and all that? Or do you think they didn't get to that level yet?
Yeah, I mean, education is a complicated thing. In order to teach that, you have to have teachers that understand it, right? Because there's the one thing that the teacher is more afraid, the most afraid of is, at least in my personal experience, it was always, there's something new that I don't know about, and potentially one of my students knows more about that. And I was in the lucky situation that we had a professor that did not understand much about computers, but he was a math and a physics teacher. And he said, okay, we're going to do IT here. We're going to do the last 3 years of school. I had IT, which was like one of a couple of schools which maybe had that at that time. And he said, this is not a class, this is a workshop. Like you and I are going to learn this together. And that was fantastic for a couple of reasons. Yeah, it was fantastic for a couple of reasons. First of all, we learned about it, and we were like learning what was actually happening and not what was printed in a textbook 5 years ago, which was stuff that was 10 years old, because 10 years before that, there was nothing. There were no personal computers, no home computers, as they were called at the beginning. Nah, laptops didn't exist at that time. And as you know, I'm a lot older. I'm not going to disclose my age here, but I'm a lot older. And so that's good. But that was one of the very few cases where I saw that. So now I hope that the kids are, and I'll definitely make sure that my kids and their close friends are going to learn about computer and kind of learn software as if they were learning a foreign language, because that's just necessary. And then try to figure out together with them what this new world means. And today it's ChatGPT, it's AI. There will be more and more stuff that they can also learn about robotics. So everything in natural sciences is kind of coming together, right? So a robotics thing is almost like a combination of biology, math, physics, and math, right? And that's fantastic. It's just fantastic for somebody who loves technology, who's somebody who loves progress. That is fantastic. We just have to make sure that that the kids all get a fair exposure to this early on in a monitored way, so that they understand what it is, that they're not scared about it. They see the opportunities, but also understand that it is ultimately, as with most things, it is in he or she who operates this and programs this has obligations, has moral responsibilities.
How would you adjust your kids' learning experience now with your experience now through life and through AI, through math, through physics, through everything? How would you guide them to, like, what would you like advise them to learn?
They're at an age, they're 5 and 7, so they're not at an age where advice right now comes in.
Let's say if they're 16 or something, like let's say in a couple of years, what would you advise them? Because I think the listeners mostly are 18 to 25, and they would love to see perspective from other sides. Like I know some of them, a lot of them are entrepreneurs, but a lot of them are into technology. They're so into ChatGPT, they're so into the new things, and they have no idea what to do with it. And I think someone of your experience would give a really good advice on that.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing now, and maybe let me stick with my kids, or in general the early age for a second. So what I'm trying to do with my kids is I'm trying to explain to them what I actually do. And so that is, I am building a company. So why are you building a company? We're building a company because that's what we are doing. There is no company that's doing it. And I believe that that is something worthwhile investigating. Oh, how do you do that? And now my kids, when they're like 3 and 5, both of them told me about their startup ideas, which I found fantastic. And that was like 2 years back.
Wow.
So by exposing and they're living this a little bit through me now, and they're mimicking a little bit what we're doing. And if you swear a lot, your kids will swear a lot. And if you're like curious, then there's a high likelihood that your kids will become more curious than they would naturally maybe be. And I mean, kids are really curious. So for us, also the fact that we now moved to Northern Italy and to expose them to more languages, that for us was just something where we say, okay, we have to feed the curiosity at an early age. And so then what's going to happen in school between where they are now and where they're going to be like 16 to 18 is that we'll make sure that they don't just learn like, they're schooled and then being taught like very top-down specific topics as if they're going to be the super duper expert in that one specific field. But the one thing that always helped is if you start connecting the dots in a more interdisciplinary way, and that's kind of one of the skill sets that an entrepreneur has, right? He has to. I am not the super expert in any of the fields that I have to cover. I'm like more a Swiss Army knife that has these 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 different skills that none of them is perfect, but I know how to operate all of them at least at a decent standard. And that's kind of what I would like to try to bring the kids, that there always is a solution, and you just have to.
It's all about finding solutions.
It is always finding solutions. Yeah, it's about finding solutions and trying to spark the fire in them that the hunt for a solution is not only fun, but it can actually also be extremely fulfilling.
Yeah. How would building 5 companies and co-founding them, when you were at the down state of not making it or not getting the expectations that you had, how did you deal with that feeling of not making it? Should I quit? Should I not quit? What should I do? How did that feel, and how did you overcome this?
That's a very good question, and that's my wife calls me very stoic. I have I'm not kind of like, if you want to put it in cars, I'm more like the industrial diesel engine than I'm a high revving sports car. So I have a fairly mellow temper. That's the one thing that had helped me. So I'm not a heart attack candidate. I'm more like somebody who's a bit more relaxed.
You like to put in steps. You like to put in a plan, and you go with it.
It is about a plan, but it is also about the mindset. So obviously, I had ideas. I am enthusiastic when I get a new idea. So it's important to figure out, is this just hype, or is that something that you can actually build a company around it? And then when you do that, is you have to make sure that you value what you have, which is the freedom the possibility to explore things, the possibility to hire really, really interesting people to do these kind of things. And all of these people will know that their individual topics better than you do, to embrace all of that while not earning as much as your peers from university, wherever, in investment banking or management consulting. And I did a fair share of management consulting at the beginning of my career, and some of the guys have become super successful, and they were driving fancy cars and all of that. And if you start comparing yourself with them, then you start forgetting the freedoms that you have that they don't have. And so for me, I had that clear from the beginning, that I was arrogant enough to say I will always make enough money to support a decent lifestyle for myself, and enough of what I need for me and a small family.
Mm-hmm.
And I value the liberty of doing these things and doing them on my terms with the people I want to work with. I value that so much more than earning maybe in the short term more money, but being in under a regime that I cannot control, that I'm put on tasks that maybe I don't want to do, or that I find boring, and so on, or charging senseless hours to a client. And so that was something that I had clear from the very beginning. And then I'm just stoic. So that's basically the mindset of, I'm not comparing myself with others. Then when you do that thing is try to have long-term goals and try to have short-term goals. And some of these goals have to be like the BHAGs, the big, hairy, audacious goals. And some of them should be achievable goals, so that you can tick off some of the things and trick yourself into, okay, look, there's progress, and so on. And that kind of worked for me. But it's a combination of mindset, decent planning.
Definitely. I think the most important thing that you...
I think is like when you're on something like this that we're doing, where it's not a quick fix to an existing solution, but you have to build the market, you have to build the ecosystem, you've got to build everything basically, then it's very difficult if you do that alone. So if you find somebody that you can do that with, because if your emotional curve is like this, the other person's curve he's on a different frequency. And somebody, you might be down, but that other person will be up. And if it's like 2 or 3 of you, one will always be positive and will be pulling the entire founders team.
I really like that. I really like how you put that together. So I would always say you need an accountability partner, someone that would push you when you're down, just like you said. But saying this through energies, because I'm a big believer of energy. I like how you said the frequencies, like the different frequencies. Sometimes you're down, the partner isn't, and the third person is more high than both of you, and it's taking you up. Or so you don't go all collapse, if you will. That's a good way to put it. And I think it's a really important thing not to compare yourself to others. I think comparing yourself to others is just destruction. You destroy yourself for nothing, because them having more money, them having more success won't give you anything. It's just...
And I think in times in times of Instagram, the comparisons become also, you compare yourself with their pictures, right? I mean, now the connections go more and more digital. Like you don't know if these people are happy or not if you're not actually sitting down with that person, having a wine, a beer, or water with that person. And so then what do you compare yourself with? And what actually does success mean? You also have to have that clear. For me, success was that throughout most of my adult life, I could actually do what I wanted to do. And I could decide and have a situation that at every single point in time, I could say, I'm not going to do this anymore. Nobody's going to pressure me in continuing a job because I have this super high mortgage, or that I have car payments on a car that I just bought to impress the neighbors, right? That's like my cost structure, and that's maybe also for people starting out. My cost structure never grew proportionally to my income. So my cost structure, the fixed cost, obviously now married and with 2 kids, is higher. But I mean, the first probably 20 years of my professional life, my cost structure was extremely variable, meaning that if I was not making money, I could easily cut back without losing any
lifestyle,
any quality of life.
You didn't care about getting the cool car or the fancy things. You cared more about sustainably building your wealth and your money and your companies. So you invested all the money into the companies.
I've invested in the companies. I also invested it in other things, but I never invested it in, I never consumed it to the extent that I earned it.
Everyone is consuming.
And it's a lot about consuming, and kind of the idea of, I invest a little bit in crypto, I make lots of money, and I buy a Lambo. That cycle is unsustainable, and that's a recipe for disaster.
I think it's not successful. Like I've been through crypto myself, but I've built a business before going into crypto. Like kids think that, okay, I'm gonna buy in this coin and this coin and this coin, and one of them will go just up and I'll make millions. But even if you did that, you waste the money because you don't understand how to make the money. You don't understand what the money is. You just made quick money, which is a failure, if you will. Because I believe you can't go invest anything, assets, stocks, crypto, if you don't know how to build a company. If you're not an actual entrepreneur at heart, you know how to build a company, you know how to build a team, you know how to fulfill a service, you know how to give people value, and then you try to make money off of crypto. You just do it for the show. You just do it for the Instagram story. You do it for the Instagram picture, and then it goes away.
Yeah, so I fully agree. And just to be extremely precise here, I totally believe in blockchain technology. It's an unsustainable business model, though, to just say I'm a crypto investor, and just because I put some money in when it was down and I got some money out when it was up, let's hope you not just only got lucky, but you probably just got lucky, because it's extremely hard to time the market, and over a long time you'll probably be up, as with the stock market. But as you said, it's like one of the key the key things that an entrepreneur and everybody who wants to be self-sufficient and not be reliant on somebody else's goodwill as an employee, but somebody who says, okay, now I want to build something myself, he has to understand that there has to be a problem out there to which he or she has a solution, and how to sell this to customers, how to understand their needs, how to fine-tune it, how to price it. And if you have all of that, and then money comes out of that, and you make more money than you actually need, then you can invest it. And that can be in anything, including crypto, real estate, or I don't recommend too much of consumption, but and it can be anything. But like you said, the actual trick is not having gotten lucky with crypto. The actual thing is building something that can sustain itself ultimately. And yes,
it's all about building.
Maybe you need maybe it becomes successful right from the get-go. Maybe you need 1, 2, 3, 4 financing rounds, but that's completely understandable. If you're solving a big problem, then you probably need more money at the beginning. Yeah,
I think if the value that you're looking for is money, you don't do anything. Like that's just like you said, it's all about solving a problem. If you can't solve a big problem, you get more money. If you can help more people, you can sustain a good service, a good offer, if you will, and then you get people coming in. SaaS companies, e-com, everyone is doing the thing. But the thing is, it's all about building. You have to build something for the long term. You have to build something, just like you said, short-term goal and long-term goals. If you could add up, how would you describe something that would benefit people through the mindset in short term and then in long term? Like, what would you do if you were 21 starting out now? You don't need to do the math. You don't need to be in math. You can do anything. Like you don't need to be in the same field.
No, exactly. So the first thing is obviously, in order for you to build something, you got to be healthy. So that's important. It's like, look after yourself. That is everything from work out regularly. I mean, you don't have to be an Olympic athlete, but just work out. And stay healthy, eat clean, stay healthy. Just because if you are the machine that's going to drive this forward. So if the machine isn't running smoothly, then you have an issue, and then you have to focus on yourself, maybe 50% into your project. Then find something that you like, and you could go a little bit of education on it, or you can do more education on it. You can have a bachelor's degree, master's, or whatever, PhD, or nothing. If it's something that interests you, you're going to learn the relevant topics either way. If you're choosing something just for the money, then you're going to get bored at some point, or you're going to get thrown off your path. So it has to, if there is no passion, there is no grit to get through the hard times. And the more passion you have for something, and maybe also the bigger the problem is that you're trying to solve, the more it'll have impact on
Others.
on people. I mean, if you're like working on something like the BioNTech founders in Germany, mRNA for vaccines. I mean, that is, I mean, how much bigger can a mission get, right? Than to solving like issues that they didn't start out to cure COVID or find a medicine or vaccination for COVID. They are on a mission to cure cancer. And so that's how they started, and how the mRNA technology was well developed also by them. It's
Saving
multiple
lives.
Yeah, but ultimately, yes, saving lives, and probably it's one of the key diseases that people die from. So finding a big mission, finding some, and it has to be a big topic, and you have to be motivated, and then you have to learn towards that goal.
Be curious, have curiosity.
Be curious. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That's a really good way to put it.
And ultimately, what I always found is, and I also realized also that my time at a certain project was over, is when I was waking up in the morning and I didn't feel the fun and the energy anymore. It has to be fun. It has to be energy. You have to say, okay, I want to do this. I want to work on this topic. And I prefer to work 12 or 14 hours on this topic today, rather than sitting at the 7 hours in a boring job somewhere, right?
Definitely.
I think that was for me. That was for me always the topic.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a really good way to put it, because I think discipline is everything. Even if you love the job, even if you love everything, you have your friends call you up. We're going forward links. We're going to a bar. We're going to have a night out, and then you have to choose. I'm going to sacrifice this for later on greatness. I need to build something. I need to do something. Even if you're young, you have to sacrifice some things. Or the things you're going to sacrifice are your dreams and your mission. I think having a mission is really important.
Agreed. But more precisely, if you are 100% committed that you're working on an important topic, that you're solving something big, then not hanging out at the sports bar with your friends is not a sacrifice. It's a choice that you take willingly. Make time for your friends. Yes, do. But if it's just hanging out with your friends, watching a game of a sport that you don't like that much anyway, then that is an easy choice. Nonetheless, as I said earlier, in order to stay healthy, you also have to stay mentally healthy. So make time for friends. Although the non-entrepreneurial friends, you will find that the longer you are on that journey, the harder it is for your like full-time employed at a large bank type of friends to actually understand what you're doing, and to understand your motivation.
It's so lonely to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
it's pretty lonely.
It's pretty lonely. Yeah, but find a peer group. Find people that you can also interact with digitally and in real life. And you just need a couple.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, in the last couple of months, we've been I think in the last 8 months we've been scaling the business, we've been scaling the companies, and the number one thing we did, me and my partner, is we started networking with everyone. We just started networking, not wanting anything from anyone. We just network and build relationships with entrepreneurs, going to events and all of that. And what happened is, people like you, people don't like you. Some people will think that, hey, I like this person, I want to do business with them, just because they like you, because you committed to something and you are an entrepreneur, you have discipline, you build companies at a young age and you're doing something. And then for us scaling, we went from 25 clients to 40 clients in 8 months, which is huge. We got new employees, we built something bigger. And the mission was on one thing, networking, nothing more. We just networking with people. We just found entrepreneurs who are building something, and we just network with them. And talking to someone like you and be like, hey, Tim, do you know a guy that needs this? And they're like, yeah, I like you, mate. I would love to help you out in this. And it just happens. And I think network is a great deal. How would you say you can build a network from nothing? Like, if you know no one, how would you build a network? LinkedIn, Instagram, what would you do?
So one of the things, well, basically, let's take our the way we got to know each other, right? So I've built several companies. So one of the things for me is I want to talk to other entrepreneurs. First of all, because I just love it. I love early. I love getting this from 0 to 1 phase. I just love it. I love building an alpha, validating an alpha, building 3 alphas because you had to trash 2 of them. I love that phase, but I also know how hard it is and how much that can hurt. One of the institutes where I mentor people is the Founders Institute, and shout out to Founders Institute, not the only organization there, but a very good one. And so I just started there, and through the program, I'm now mentoring a couple of the participants now that they have graduated and so on. And shout out to Priscilla, who introduced us to each other. So that was something that she basically she just basically said, I need a few people through which I can do that. And she's building a fantastic presence on LinkedIn. I have I don't want to call it an old boys network. I have a solid network for doing startup stuff for like more than 25 years now. So, but that's that. But if you start out, start commenting on people's topics, start engaging in conversations on the relevant topics, and that'll come. But it has to be genuine, because otherwise, as with your business idea, if it's not genuine, you're going to get bored after time. And you cannot will yourself into the success. It has to come from within you. It is like you want to have to do this. Only then you can endure the journey, which is definitely like if we're talking about feelings here, like if you're in if you work at whatever, the local oil and gas company, maybe your feelings go from +10 to -10. If you work at an investment bank, maybe it's 100 to -100. But if you're an entrepreneur, you can have everything from world domination at 1,000 to near death or bankruptcy experience, which is like a -1,000. You can have that twice a day, the highs and the lows, right? The emotional roller coaster is so hard, it is so strong, so that you really
it's a strong mentality.
You need that mentality. You need the people to talk to, and you can then also engage with others that are going through the same stuff, because ultimately, like and like will detect each other. If you're looking at people's stuff and you're commenting it in a thoughtful manner, and not just spamming forums or spamming LinkedIn and so on, you will start a following, and you will start being recognized by people as somebody who has actually something to contribute. And then of that maybe comes a podcast invitation, maybe of that comes a guest post somewhere, speaking event, or an invitation to a conference. It's persistency over time.
Inconsistency, I think.
It's persistency, not inconsistency. I got to be persistent over time.
Persistent. I understand. Co-founding 5 companies is definitely hard. I think you learn a lot through the journey. What would you say is the hardest lesson that you learned through that journey?
You have to always evaluate if you're on the right track to actually solving something. You'll have to challenge your own assumptions over and over again. Not every day, but you have to do that frequently. And it is then extremely hard when you realize that for whatever reason, although maybe your assumptions were right at the beginning, it's technology, people, and timing. If maybe the timing was wrong. And so then you have to discard it, and then you maybe have to kill the project, or you have to pivot it into something completely new. And that's the one thing. If you really, really love what you're doing, I half jokingly said in a previous conversation, that's like my third child. The company that I'm building is like my third child, right? At some point, you have to say, well, it's not going the way I want it to go, and there is not the market, or I am not the right person to address this market, or maybe this idea will never get the traction because one of the big established companies is going to swap in and kill my either kill the market or flood it with a for free product, and all of this can happen. And so I think that is the hardest. And the other thing is people that you work with. It's difficult to find the right people, and
Yeah,
it's
it is
especially
definitely
at the beginning, it's difficult to motivate these people to
to believe in you.
transfer your love from the vision. Yeah, they have to believe in you and your vision. And that is definitely something, especially for a first-time founder and a second-time founder, that's difficult. Maybe at the third, fourth, or fifth time, they maybe not even believe you, but they say that you've been right more than wrong. and maybe that's why they want to join your tribe. But that's definitely hard. And then telling them it's not working out, either because the idea is wrong, or maybe at some point you understand now the company has morphed into something bigger, hopefully evolved in the right way. And then that person that became your friend over time, to also say, to let people go if they're not the right person anymore because they have not evolved with the company, that is also extremely hard. So the company, almost like a living organism, and then the people within it. I think looking back, 80% of all of the issues were between people, and 20% were the actual technology to be solved. So the human aspect cannot be overstated. It is so important. It's everything from founder chemistry over time to do I have the right people on my team? Because in order to build something big, you need more than just a couple of founders.
It's a full stack. It's a full stack. You need
You build a tribe. You build a
yeah.
tribe to conquer the world, and then
It's so good. It's conquering the world. Yeah, I like that. I like that word. Yeah, we built, men are built to conquer. Like back in time, everyone was conquering everyone. Everyone was just attacking everyone, trying to take the land, take the treasures, the silver, the gold, and then safety came on. Everyone is safe, police, armies, and everyone is just procrastinating. They don't think that time is relevant. They think that I just have time. I'm gonna start later on tomorrow. I'm gonna start, and it never ends. They never start. They never start. We have a lot of students, and we have 28,000 users on our e-learning platform, and it's frustrating seeing only 100 of them build something. Only 100 of them actually took action on what they learned. Other people just have emotions. I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna learn, and they buy the things and they never do anything with it. And it feels like,
Yeah.
why you don't understand how valuable time is.
And that is if for those people, probably all of them have heard about Steve Jobs, but have not, maybe not. There's obviously the famous graduation speech at Stanford. That is just a fantastic speech. But the other thing is also, we're talking here about one of the richest people, the most successful people in the world, who ignored he did not ignore his disease, but kind of doubted traditional medicine. And so despite all of his wealth, died in his late 50s. Absolutely, I don't want to say absolutely unnecessary. I'm not his physician, but when you say, okay, it just shows, regardless of how much money you have, time is precious. Use it,
Wisely.
and start. You gotta start, and you gotta start doing something. If you procrastinate for more than a couple of days, then you really got to ask yourself, is like, what is wrong with my situation? No, what's wrong with me? We all procrastinate when we're in a situation where we're either bored, don't know what to do, have no goals, and so on. So then ask yourself, what's wrong here in this overall situation? Maybe I am too rich, right? I've seen so many people that inherited money, and that's, while everybody says, I want my kids to have a better start than myself, and I'm going to save some money for them, and I'm going to pass that down. Too much is also not good, right? Because it
Yeah.
kind of kills their energy and their
The ambition to do things.
their ambition to do things. And so try to find out what's wrong with your situation. Are you not motivated? Well, find something that motivates you. If and that should not just be money. Try to do something that you actually love and that you can find a passion for. And if that's physical education, then instead of kind of doing some random investments in crypto, then, well, if you don't have a better idea than that, then become a physical personal trainer and be the best at it. and do some online courses, and you can probably, in the age of social media, you can probably get filthy rich with that.
Yeah,
There are
definitely.
ways,
There's a
but
lot of ways you can make it.
there is no justification for somebody in the mid and long term to procrastinate. There's my life is whatever. There are too many opportunities, and building a company nowadays is just a laptop away.
It is a laptop away. That's
Yeah.
pretty what I say. Building
Yeah.
anything, you need your iPhone or the phone, any phone, and you need a laptop, and that's it. An internet connection.
Yeah.
Everyone has internet connection there. You just can't. You just really can't.
Yeah.
It's a matter of doing. It's a matter of getting things done. It's a matter of connecting with people, sending a message.
Yeah.
You don't know what would get you where. You just need to try. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Find your passion. Find what you love, and do what you like. I have a last question for you, Tim. If you were not an entrepreneur, what would you do? That's a tough one.
No, yeah, no,
You've thought about this.
Yeah. So, I think regardless of what I'd be doing, I try to do it on my own terms. So I think for me, the high degree of freedom I would always look for. And it took me quite some time to actually say, okay, I can express it as an entrepreneur. So I come from a family of doctors and pharmacists, and so for me, the idea of building a company that I actually, as a son of a pharmacist and a doctor, can actually build a company that took a bit of time until I understood that I too can do that. And so it was, I dabbled with the idea a little bit of, do I want to become a doctor? And not really, but I wanted to do something that helps people. And so ultimately that was it. If I had no financial obligations, and even then I would still try to build something, and maybe it would be a non-profit. I would be teaching young entrepreneurs from the morning to the evenings, and I really enjoy that. But ultimately I would always be building something, and I would always try to live and
on your terms.
Yeah, do it on my terms, do it in a way that where I control how much and where I can put it in, where my focus, my emphasis is, and then just do it. Just do it. The Nike slogan. It sounds so stupidly simple. It is utterly complex. It's not complicated to do, but it then gets complex once you start doing things. But it's you just gotta go out, try to find something that motivates you, and then just take it from there. Start. And look for opportunities where are there other people. I mean, if you're overweight and you say, I need to lose weight, and then you just put on your trainers and you run a little bit, and then you say, okay, I should do that more often, but I'm not, and I actually like it, but I'm not really motivated. Well, then find 3 more people that are overweight, and then charge them $5 for every training session, right? And it's like, or not. You don't have to, but I mean, you can make a business out of it.
Testimonials for free. I think it's the easiest time to make money online. It's the easiest time to make anything. You can build anything. You can do everything. All the information is online. You're 1 click away from information. You can just search anything, ChatGPT, Google, whatever it is, and you can get any information that you want. You can read books, go to the gym. You can know how to go to the gym through YouTube. You can create content. You can do podcasts. You can do anything, and then you can know what you like. Then.
There has never been an easier and more level playing field in actually getting started. I fully agree to that. I fully agree to that. In my early days, when you wanted to build something, there were no cloud services, right? You needed a Sun Microsystem like computer for, I don't know, 50K or 100K, and it had to run then some Oracle database on it, where the license fee was like 50K. In order to run a simple freaking web store, which so much. Shopify store is $29.95 a month or $19.95. I don't know, something ridiculously cheap, and a laptop. Everybody can get a laptop financed. So there is
Yeah.
absolutely no excuse to not do it. It's all in your head.
It is all in your head. I think we can
Yeah.
end the podcast on this. It's all in your head. Just get
Perfect.
started, get on this. Thanks so much, Tim, for your time. I really enjoyed this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll see you in the next one.